Your power goes out, remember just how inconvenient your life can be. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have power when you need it. Our Generac generators automatically provide backup power after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Get a free 10-year warranty with the purchase of any air-cooled generator. Call Generac Generators today. Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Okay. How you doing, everybody? Dennis Phillips Live on a Monday. So we're going to be talking today about a lot of stuff, including science-y stuff, as well as a live look at radar. But we've got kind of a neat couple of guests tonight. I'm going to take my FB out. I don't need to hear that. So we all know we're under water restrictions, and it's something that we're probably going to have to be dealing with for a while. I mean, realistically, unless we get some insanely wet weather pattern, which we're not going to, even though this week I do think areas along and east of I-75 are going to get some rain. But we're dealing with water restrictions. We're dealing with drought. We're dealing with burn bans. And tonight, we are here with Warren Hogg and Amelia Brown from Tampa Bay Water. Hey, guys, how you doing? Thank you very much for coming by. And they're going to be stopping by. We're going to be answering all your questions. And I know a lot of y'all have questions. I share the story that happened to me years ago. So my sprinkler system was broken, and my timer was messed up. And like 3:30 in the morning, I have never had a speeding ticket in my life. I've never had a traffic violation of any sort. And my Ring doorbell is ringing at like 3:30 in the morning, and I'm seeing there's some guy in my front door leaving something in my front door. I got a ticket for watering my front yard at 3:30 in the morning because my sprinkler system was broken and the timer was messed up. This was years ago. I don't remember how many years ago, but it makes me laugh. So they are out there. They are looking for you, but they are doing so with good reason. And you know what? We'll get into the weather in just a second. Let's just go ahead and we'll start talking with Warren and with Amelia because right off the bat, we've been showing you drought maps, but Warren, I mean, this is a thing, and you were saying that we were talking about the reservoir. There's only been a couple of times that you know of in history that it's been completely dry, and we're getting kind of close to that. You're down to about a third left, is that right?
Yeah, we're down to a third left. We've got about 5.5 billion gallons left in the reservoir, and we need that to continue to sustain us until the rivers flow because of summer rains, and that'll be mid-June at the earliest.
So what we're looking at, we were talking about this earlier too. Look, I think we all know more often than not, we're in some kind of a drought this time of the year. I mean, right? Pretty much every spring outside of an El Nino year, which we had a couple years ago, we're talking about brush fires. We're talking about water restrictions. We're talking about burn ban. I mean, I remember through the 4th of July, we've sometimes had fireworks that were not allowed to be used because of the lack of rain. So we're hoping that in June we're going to see some rain. Sometimes we don't. So in your mind, how does this compare to previous years, and how do people need to conserve? And then we'll talk to Amelia about that as well.
Well, this year we got into a strange situation. We usually get about 8 inches of rain in September. Last September we only got 2 inches, and it's been really dry ever since. So we started our drought way before the spring dry season. And we normally tend to take water out of the reservoir maybe in February, March of the year, and that's plenty to go through the summer. This year we started taking water out in mid-October. So we were 3 or 4 months earlier than usual. That's why we're so low in the reservoir right now.
You know, and that's something we've been talking a lot about. It, like you said, we kind of started behind the 8 ball even before we got into the dry season. Now, a couple years ago, we had an El Nino, which, by the way, we are probably going into a very significant El Nino coming up late this summer into the fall. And if that's the case, I mean, I know they're like, what the heck are you talking about, Dennis? You can't get the weather right 7 days out. How are you going to know 7 months out? That being said, if we are in a significant El Nino, and I think we will be, we could be in for a very wet and stormy stretch late this fall and into the winter months, because the models are all in on a big El Nino. It also means hurricane season is usually quieter as well. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Let's get back to Amelia. So what does this mean for folks in terms of conservation and ways that they can actually help out?
Right. Well, you know, during a drought, that is the most important time to conserve water. And so I'd say the #1 place to begin is looking outdoors at a sprinkler system, whether it's a home or a business. Because when a sprinkler system runs, it can use as much water in one cycle as a person uses indoors in their home in an entire month. 1,000 gallons can be used in one cycle of irrigating. So it's very important to know your watering day. Everyone's under once a week watering restrictions. And if you don't know your watering day, you can go to mywaterday.org and figure that out so you're in compliance. And, you know, we really want to help people do the right thing. So, you know, you be mindful, people need to be mindful about how they're using their water. And across the Tampa Bay area, we have a program called Tampa Bay WaterWise that helps people save water through rebates. So we help pay for the investments that you make inside your home and business and outside to save water.
Amelia, what was that website again?
Well, to get your watering day, it's mywaterday.org.
Okay.
And to get rebates for toilets and sprinkler systems, that's tampabaywaterwise.org.
Okay, now, Warren, we were talking about this as well. I get a lot of comments, a lot of questions coming in here. People were asking what the fine is. I mean, I guess it varies from place to place. Mine was $158. And, you know, and I was guilty. I mean, I did. My timer was broken and I didn't know it. And 3:30 in the morning, there goes the ticket. So what are you going to do? I mean, I got it fixed. But Warren, something that I hear a lot of, and you and I talked about this a couple minutes ago, the argument I hear from a lot of folks, look, water comes and goes. So why do I need to preserve it if I know that eventually this water level is going to come around and we're going to get back to where we are? Because we're not needing to reinvent new water. So what would be your response to that?
Yeah, you're right. Water, we don't make new water, we don't lose water, it just recycles every year. And that's over the long term. But what we're trying to do is to manage our reservoir water now so that it extends until we get those consistent summer rains. We have water from our desalinated seawater plant and multiple well fields, but if we use the water up in the reservoir, it's going to cause us to take more water from those other environments where the environment really needs water too.
So Patrick is asking, what's the correlation between drought and sinkholes? Will there be an uptick because of the depleted aquifer?
That's kind of hard to answer on a really area-wide scale, but typically we get a lot of sinkholes when you lower the water table in the ground and then you get really heavy rains at the beginning of summer. If there's already a void underneath the ground, the weight of that wet soil can collapse in. That can happen at the beginning of the rainy season. The other reason that it happens is when you're pumping a whole lot of water really fast and you make the water table drop real fast, that can cause the weight of the rocks and the soils to tilt into an existing hole. But geologically, those holes, caverns, take hundreds of thousands of years to grow. So it doesn't cause sinkholes, it might cause one to open because there's already a void down there.
Well, and I remember when we have a freeze, and this happened many years ago, but I'm sure you remember, is when a lot of the farmers in eastern Hillsborough County and Polk County were using a ton of water to spray the water on their crops to save their crops. Sinkholes were being created from using all that water. So, I mean, I know that can happen as well. I was trying to remember what my question was before when we were talking. I just finally just remembered what it was. So, now I forgot again. No. All right, so here's the thing. We hear this all the time. When we look at what normally we have, like what our normal rainfall water is over a 5-year period of time, or a 30-year period of time, or a 10-year period of time, depending on what scale you're using. The question is, because we have more people, I think this honestly is maybe one of the biggest questions, and maybe even both answering this, because we have so many more people in Florida now than we used to, do we just have too many people for the amount of water that we normally get or the amount of water that we normally see? And these restrictions might need to be continuous because we just have a bigger demand than we used to have.
Well, as we continue to grow, we've got, like you said, there's more and more people coming in. Everybody needs water. And some communities, like the city of Tampa, last drought, they stayed on 1-day-a-week restrictions year-round. So Pasco County, city of Tampa, you can only water once a week year-round. Tampa Bay Water's job, we're the regional water supplier. We pipe the water to our cities and counties that are member governments. And it's our sole job to make sure that we have the water that each of them needs to meet the growing demand. The cheap water is gone, so the supplies that we have to develop in the future are going to make water rates go up. So we have to balance that, and conservation is really important because if people save, that's less that we have to develop and less stuff we have to build.
So Amelia, a question for you about, we're talking about watering our lawns and whatnot. What kind of suggestions might you have for landscaping or for Florida-scaping, if you will, that might require far less water? So it's a win-win. We use less water, but you also can maintain your lawn so much easier because they require less water.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is really important to think about what your landscape looks like and how much water each zone actually needs. So you can really beautify your yard through the principles of Florida-friendly landscaping. So that's not only a selection of plants that are adapted to this climate and tend to thrive in drought conditions and in the heat and the humidity that we have, but it's also these ideas of what is the right place to put that plant? Does it love the sun? Does it need partial shade? And so all of the counties, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough, have Florida-friendly landscaping programs. And there's a lot of education and a lot of resources available. And when people are thinking about what to do, maybe it can seem overwhelming if you have like a yard full of grass, but you don't have to change the entire landscape all at once. You can pick a small area, pick some beautiful flowers that are, not only adding attractiveness and curb appeal, but are also good for pollinators. And those are the types of plants we really want to see throughout Florida because they are well adapted, they use less water, and they're great for the environment.
And if you had damage from the freezes this year and you need to resod your yard or replace some plants, wait until the summer, wait until it's raining. Don't do that now because you're going to use a ton of extra water. If you'll wait till June, July, Mother Nature will do it for you.
Boy, that's a great point. And I think I literally just had that conversation with Nadine Yanis because she just got a new house and doesn't have any sod. And we wondered when the best time is to do it. So you're saying wait until the summer, but I guess my question is, will the sod tolerate the heat? Is it easier to get sod to take in the spring than it is in the summer? And I also know the rules for watering sod are different. Newly planted sod, are different than the general watering rules. Is that the case, or in a restriction like this, it's the same?
You can get an exemption for watering in new sod, and from what I remember, I resodded a yard a long time ago. You need to water it every day for the first week to 10 days, and then every other day. So you're using, Amelia said, if you can use over 1,000 gallons every time you water your yard. Think about if you're doing that every day, wait until the summer. It's hot in the spring, it's hot in the summer, but in the summer you get the afternoon clouds. You don't have as much direct sun as you do in April and May.
Wow. Okay.
Plus, you would save a lot of money if you wait till the rain, because otherwise you're going to be trying to keep up with watering it and dealing with the heat and the drought. And if you wait for the summer rains, yes, you've got the heat, but you've got Mother Nature helping you out there as well.
Amelia, where will we find some resources for this kind of landscaping, for these kind of plants that you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. So if you just look for Florida-friendly landscaping and type in the county that you live in, the website will come up. So it's the University of Florida IFAS program, Florida-friendly landscaping. And there are people there who will, they provide educational classes, they provide direct assistance to residents and businesses around the region to implement these better landscaping practices.
Got a lot of questions here. There's so many folks who are thanking you all for being here because it is such a topical conversation right now. David asked a real simple question, and one that I think a lot of people don't really think of, but his take is there any chance that we could run out of fresh drinking water?
Well, it's not a question of running out of water. We're going to have enough water this spring because Tampa Bay water has diversified. We have river water, we have river water stored in a reservoir, desalinated seawater, and groundwater. We're surrounded up and down, well, not surrounded, but up and down the West Coast, we've got water. But to pull the salt out of it is a very expensive process. Our plant right now, I think we produced about 15 million gallons a day on average in the month of March. We can do it, but if we have to build a lot of desalination plants to meet that growing demand, it's just going to get expensive.
By the way, they mentioned chat. There's some lists here within the chat, so thank you very much for different type of Florida landscaping that works really well. The FFL app is great, according to Anna Maria as well. So ultimately, I guess you talked about desalination plants. How many of those are around? I mean, is that something that we're really become dependent on?
Well, we have the largest one in the southeast United States. It's designed to produce about a maximum of 18 to 20 million gallons a day right now, with perhaps expansion later. California has a large facility that I think can produce about 40 to 50 million a day. But again, those are really power intensive. You can do it, but it costs a lot. Countries in the Middle East, they don't have a lot of freshwater supplies, but they have a lot of salt water. But they have power, they have energy, so they can produce that for all of their supplies. It's a little different here. It's a little expensive.
So what about reclaimed water? Deb's asking about that. How does that include in the mix and all the restrictions?
So reclaimed water is, the way that you may use it is really up to your local jurisdiction. The watering restrictions from the Southwest Florida Water Management District are specific to well water, whether it's your private well, and potable drinking water from your city or county. If there are restrictions about reclaimed water, you have to look to your local water provider for those rules. Okay.
Well, you know what, guys, I was going to wait a little bit, but this was great conversation. We just did 20 minutes and we just flew right through. Is there anything that you want to let the folks know, or things that we didn't cover? Because I think we covered quite a bit of stuff in that time.
Yeah, we're asking people to step up and save water this spring, help us get through this spring dry season. We know it'll work because we made this ask 2 years ago. The public responded great. We got all the way through the summer rains and we're in good shape. So help us out again, help out the environment, and the less water you use, the lower your utility bill will be. Save money.
And I'll just add that, having a conservation mindset is really important. And so, making little changes in your daily habits really adds up to a lot when over 2 million people are doing them at the same time, whether it's turning off the water while you're brushing your teeth or checking for leaks in your sprinkler system. And every little bit helps.
And it really, as you were saying, look, we're going to get through this, and we're going to get to the point where the rain does come. What we're just trying to get there before the table turns. And it will. We all know it will, but it's still a finite level. Warren mentioned rather that, back in, was it around 08, I think it was, that the reservoir went dry. So it can happen, and we don't want to get to that point. especially with brush fire season coming up as well. You know, that's something that we're kind of in. We had that in Hernando County a couple of weeks ago. You know, burn bans were lifted, then they were reinstituted. I mean, here, I can show you right here. This is a look right now of the latest drought numbers. There they are. We are in an extreme drought across the entire area, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Yes, we're going to have periods of rain. Heck, this week we're going to see some rain. But overall, when we look at drought numbers that show, you know, extreme drought over most of the area, this is the real deal. And hopefully we start to see our rainy season a little bit earlier. I will tell you, with the warmer Gulf, I would not be surprised if we start to see our rains a little sooner than later, and that would be a good thing. So again, Amelia and Warren, thank you so much for coming out. Great information. Appreciate you coming by on Dennis Phillips Live. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks for having us on.
All right, that was awesome, guys. So again, thank you very much. Yeah, we had some great information, and we got some rain coming in. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a live look right now at what's going on. Again, there are the drought numbers. They're updated every Thursday, showing an extreme drought in the dark orange color and the dark red color, and then the orange is more moderate to severe. I do think inland areas are probably going to see some improvements over the next day or two. That doesn't mean we're not going to still be in a drought, but it does mean that we're going to see something. And that imaginary line, that mythical line along and east of I-75 is where the bulk of the rain will fall. So you take a live look right now. Citrus County, you had some rain earlier on. That has now fizzled, moved off to the east. Hernando County from Spring Hill back toward eastern Pasco and Dade City, Wesley Chapel, Zephyr Hills. That's where some of the heavier rains are. Thenona-Sassa back to Plant City. Dover, Mango, Seffner areas in eastern and northeastern Polk County. Polk City back toward Winter Haven. Very little lightning with this cell right there, and that's a good thing because that's always a big concern for us. When you get rain and thunderstorms with this kind of a setup, matter of fact, there is quite a bit of lightning across east central Hillsborough County, but it's kind of a mixed blessing. You know, Fishhawk right now picking up some heavy rain, but overall, when we get lightning with this, you see brush fires pop. And quite often you can have lightning from bolts from the blue. We all know what that is. We've talked about that so many times. Lightning can travel 10 to 12 miles from its parent cloud, and the reality of it is lightning can strike where it's not raining. And when it's as dry as it is and will continue to be, yeah, we're going to see additional brush fires that form with that kind of a setup. So temperatures right now anywhere from the upper 60s to the lower 80s, 68 Crystal River, 74 Clearwater, 81 St. Pete, 80 in Bradenton, Sarasota at 77 degrees. Highs today, we didn't break a record, but man, it was hot. 89 Tampa, 84 Plant City, 86 St. Pete, 85 in Sarasota. Tampa right now, it's cloudy, 76 degrees with northeast winds at 13 miles an hour. That is an ominous looking sight there. Well, I mean, maybe not. Actually, it could be well, it's not going to bring us any rain, so I guess either way, it's not going to help us too much. 89 the high today, the morning low 71, normals are 81 and 63. There's a look at the satellite. It is literally right up and down I-75, and it's all moving east. So those inland spots, you are going to be loving this forecast over the next few days. From Lakeland all the way down to Arcadia, all the way east to Sebring, there will be rain. Through 10 o'clock tonight, heaviest rain inland. Tomorrow morning. Now, there's the one bit of good news. If you're going to see rain along the coast, the time frame is pretty much from the overnight hours, 3, 4, 5 a.m., some scattered showers moving in. Now, remember, I am supposed to be live tomorrow at the Clearwater Threshers game, weather permitting, and I'm going to tell you, I was talking to Jason Adams. Now, we all know how many Jason Adams we have in my life. We have Jason Adams, meteorologist, in the weekends here in Tampa Bay 28. We have Jason Adams, our engineer, who comes in here like this whenever things are falling apart to save the day. But thirdly, we have Jason Adams, who is the general manager of the Clearwater Threshers. Great guy. Tomorrow is dollar hot dog and dollar beer night. I mean, come on, what's the downside? Oh, the weather, because there's a chance there could be a rainout. Now, let's hoping it won't be, but Jason Adams, my friend, General manager of the Threshers like, Dennis, I don't think we're going to invite you back if we continue to get rainouts. Because if you remember, when we had DPL night, when my daughter sang the national anthem and I threw out the first pitch, it poured and they rained it out. So fingers crossed that tomorrow night the game will go on and that we will get it in without the rain. But it is kind of a, a double-edged sword because we of course know we need the rain. All right, so anyway, there's a look at tomorrow morning, some scattered showers. Lunchtime, still some scattered showers. Mid-afternoon, still some scattered showers. Yeah, if it rains for 6 hours there, I kind of doubt they get the games in, but we'll see. Actually, they can cover the field. As long as the rain stops by mid-afternoon, I think they would get it in. Anyway, and that's something else that's been going on. I've been reading these posts on Facebook. Oh, we're going to get all this heavy rain. It's going to be all blah, blah. Look, yeah, it's going to rain, but it's not going to be a washout. There's going to be scattered showers, and the East Coast will certainly see maybe more than, not maybe, definitely more than the West Coast. But this is not going to be a massive rain event. I've been seeing like 7, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain. Look, we can get 7 inches of rain in 3 hours in Florida. I think we all know that. So anyway, once the rain moves through by Thursday into Friday, we're back into drier air and really nice weekend ahead with no rain expected at all. Tomorrow, East Coast, definitely the heaviest rain, but there will be showers across the entire area. There's a look at your forecast tonight. Overnight and toward tomorrow morning, there will be some scattered showers out there. The beach, now, tomorrow is not a good beach day for so many reasons. Rain, wind, clouds, locusts. I mean, no locusts, but I mean, it is going to be just not a good beach day. Just the wind is going to make it rough too. There's the 7-day, rain tomorrow, scattered showers Wednesday. Thursday we clear out, and then the weekend looks good. I'm going to show you real quick, because remember last week that GFS and the Euro were showing development of low pressure in the Atlantic. Well, here's the GFS, I think. Are these both? Yeah, there's the GFS, right? Here's the GFS, and there's Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. GFS does not develop the low in the Atlantic anymore, and high pressure just kind of sits over us. The Euro does continue to develop weak low pressure off to our east. There's Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock. Wednesday evening, weak low pressure develops and moves away. So if the models have been showing heavy rain in Florida, they have certainly backed off quite a bit. And then maybe another front. But our cold weather is gone. All right? So there you have it. Quickly, Artemis is doing a slingshot around the moon right now. I never dreamed in a million years that there were so many people out there who thought that the moon landing was a fake. Look, I'm not, you probably know what my thoughts are, but that's not even my point. Look, I love a good conspiracy theory as much as anybody, but what shocked me is how many people think the moon landing was faked. And I've heard that, how can you make a phone? I can't even get signal in my backyard. How can we make a call from the moon? I mean, valid question. Of course, it's radio signals with a direct line of sight from the moon to antenna. It's just like a radio. If you had a radio on the moon, you would pick up radio waves from Earth. Well, we got a big old antenna on Earth and radio waves sent from the moon with line of sight. You would pick it up, and then it's transferred into a phone line. I digress. It doesn't matter. It's just shock to me. I never realized. So right now you can watch the coverage I posted the link on my Facebook page. So tomorrow night, DPL, weather permitting, will be live at the Threshers Park. So we hope to see you then. Streamers, have a great night, and we'll see you on tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. Okay, so streamers are out. Seriously, guys, I could not believe I was arguing with people back and forth. And look, I will debate with anybody, and the debates are fun. I enjoy it. But then they start getting nasty and they start name calling. And then I'm like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. That's not. Somebody did on Greg's page today. I don't remember what he said, but the guy's like, stay in weather. Why are you talking about the moon? Really? What? When did people start trusting TikTok experts in their lounge chair with a beer in their hand, eating flaming hot Cheetos with their other hand? When did they start trusting that more than people who have spent decades doing this and a formal education and a degree and all these other things? But no, they'd rather trust, well, you know, I don't think we ever made it to the moon, and here's why. And I'm not even saying you're right or wrong. What is going on out there? When did this happen? When did TikTok experts become, let me tell you, here's all I got to say. If you want to follow TikTok experts when a hurricane is bearing down on your house, then God be with you, because you ain't gonna. Remember a couple years ago, the guys on TikTok, oh, we got these 2 storms and it's gonna turn into a storm the size of the Atlantic. See, what happens is it's thrown out there and it's wrong all the time, like not even 99% of the time, all the time. And then people go on their way and then they forget and then they do it again. I don't know. Just me, but if my family's well-being and livelihood depends on getting accurate information, it ain't gonna be on TikTok. But again, maybe that's just me. I don't know. So, anyway, Kurt, you like my socks? I actually have Diet Dr. Pepper socks as well. I've got one that on the bottom of it says, bring me another Diet Dr. Pepper, because that is my drink of choice and sustenance with Hot Pockets during hurricane season. So anyway, all right. Oh yeah, Nancy, you're right. Go back and look on Friday night, the post, because when I was posting it, I'll be honest, I had no idea so many people believed that the moon landing was fake. Now, again, I've told you about the movie Capricorn 1. Great flick. Well, not a great flick, but I loved it. It was back in the 70s. O.J. Simpson was an astronaut. James Brolin, who is the father of Josh Brolin, who is Thanos, right? You know Thanos, probably. Well, James Brolin, his dad, was like the head pilot in the he lives, by the way. Oops, well, the movie's 50 years old. If you haven't watched it by now, whatever. But James Brolin is the lead astronaut, the captain, and they're about to go to Mars. And NASA realizes, like a few hours before, that they're all going to be dead in a month because the oxygen system ain't going to work. So they escape the astronauts and they bring them to a fake site in the desert and have them fake the Mars landing. And then somehow somebody finds out about it. Elliot Gould, is a journalist, finds out about it, and they find out about it because they realize the radio transmission waves that are coming in are not coming from Mars, they're coming from Palmdale, California, or something like that. So then it's the astronauts. I enjoyed the movie. I did. I enjoyed the movie. But anyway, maybe that's where it came from. I don't know. But and again, if you believe it, hey, it's your life. You believe what you want to. But I never knew there were so many people who did. Had no clue that so many people actually believed that the moon landing was fake. Yeah, you learn something new every day, right? All right, so, and I'll say it again. For all the people who depend on those experts on TikTok, see how it works out for you when a hurricane's coming and you're listening to those same people. My guess, it ain't gonna be so good. All right, so anyway, there you go. That was a look at today. Thank you very much to Tampa Bay Water, to Warren and Amelia. Great information, really, really good information. Tomorrow night, hopefully we will be live at the Clearwater Threshers game. Weather permitting, DPO will be live there as well. $1 hot dog and $1 beer night tomorrow at the Threshers game. Come on. Isn't America great? So you guys have a good night, and we will see you, hopefully, from the Threshers Park tomorrow on our next edition of Dennis Phillips Live. You guys have a great night. Oh, and we got a big basketball game tonight. Who you like, Michigan or UConn? Who you like? Now, I'll be honest, I did not think Michigan was as good as they are. I liked Arizona. I liked Arizona to beat Michigan, and boy, was I wrong, because Michigan throttled. Arizona was never in that game. Never in that game. So Michigan apparently is the real deal, because, and anyway, that game, I think it starts around 9, I think. And then afterwards, one shining moment, which is one of my favorite things every year to watch. So anyway, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night at the Clearwater, and stop by. If it's not a rain out, stop by, and we can all, that's what my goal is, that people are hanging out with me. We're doing DPL together from the Threshers game. So whoever wants to stop by, please do. All right, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow night, either here or at the Threshers game. We'll see you.